everyone, it's me, Lois with Aussie Lassie Knit Designs, and today I'm really excited because we're talking about yarn, and I'm going to try to limit it to just talking about yarn in patterns, though if you've been around me at all, you know that I could talk about yarn for days and days. So, yarn and patterns. This is the most important, possibly the most important part of a pattern, because the yarn is what makes or breaks the pattern, right? In the designer's mind, it's really important, and that's why they include so much information about the pattern or about the yarn in the pattern. So in the pattern, it might have the yarn listed in a couple different ways. It may have just like the very specific yarn that the designer used. This will be especially true if the pattern is coming from someone like Knit Picks or I can't remember another name, but anyway, it'll use their yarn, right? Because they're selling their yarn, and that's the yarn they use to make the design, and so it's a perfect match. And so they'll have that very specific yarn in there. Some of the independent designers, myself included, will opt to give the information about the yarn, meaning the fiber content, the yards per ounce, the meters per gram, and any other information we can include. And then we'll have a separate section, like either as a caption under a photo or sample knit with. And then we'll include that information. And I've seen some designers also include a section where they give different options, like what their test knitters used to knit up the pattern that worked really well. And that will give you just like more options when you're out trying to knit patterns, which is so great. So when you come to this section, don't just like look at like the worsted or weight 4, weight 3, whatever. There's so much information that you can and should use in making yarn substitutions. There's a really excellent website, which I will put in the notes so that you guys can go check it out, which gives you yarn substitutions. So in that case, you would go and be like, okay, this says Knit Picks Dishy, but I don't have any on hand, and so what can I do? You could just go to this website and you put in that information, and it will spit out a list of yarns that match that as closely as possible, and it goes from the most close match and then down, so that you can make the best decision that you can make. So it is possible to substitute your yarn. I sub all the time. And there's just a few things that I've learned as I've been subbing. Like right now, for example, I have a ton of cotton yarn, and I'm knitting a t-shirt, which is knit in a lightweight yarn, but I had cotton yarn and it's the same weight, like thickness, right? So it calls for a worsted 4, and I have a worsted 4, so I just subbed it out. My yarn is cotton, and what I didn't pay attention to was the yards per ounce. I should have, because my sweater, though it's looking really great, is kind of really heavy, and it's a summer top. So you kind of don't want that happening, and that's where all of those tiny little details that may seem insignificant in the moment, the designer has already taken into consideration in making the pattern, and they're just trying to guide you into being able to make a pattern that's going to work. My t-shirt will work. I'm going to wear it. It's going to be great. But it could have been lighter if I had paid attention to those clues. So then what do you do if you're allergic to, say, wool, for example? Because if you are, and you use that great website, it's going to spit out a bunch of wool yarn, because that would be the substituting fiber for fiber. There are lots of things that you can do. And what I would recommend is, if you can actually physically touch that yarn. I'm a big believer in tactile understanding. And so I like to touch things and feel them and understand how they feel in my fingers. So that way, if I need to substitute, I can do the same thing with what I'm hoping to substitute with. And if it feels similar to me, then that's one way that I know it's going to work. But there's other things you can look for, right? And so you could look for, of course, the weight or the thickness of the yarn. Is it a fingering weight? Okay, then you need a fingering weight yarn in a different fiber than wool because you're allergic. Okay, that's good. Then you should look at the yards per ounce or the meters per gram. and anything else that the designer has provided. So is it like an 8-ply wool? Is it, is it not applied wool? Those things matter too, because then when you're picking your yarn, if the yarn they used isn't plied, you maybe don't want to use a ply. You can, but those are just some things that you can think about. All right, so if I have not answered any of your yarn pattern questions, please leave a comment below and I will get back to them. And if you enjoyed this video, would you hit like and share it and subscribe? Thank you so much, and I'll be back tomorrow talking about knitting needles.